Welcome back to the Gold IRA Blueprint podcast. Today we're diving deep into Gold Guys.
Ooh, interesting.
Yeah, they're a company that's really um, making a name for themselves when it comes to precious metals and jewelry.
I've heard of them.
And, you might be asking yourself, why should I care about this? Well, if you're thinking about diversifying your retirement portfolio
Hmm.
with gold, which, let's be real, is a smart move these days,
For sure.
understanding companies like Gold Guys, it's essential, right?
Absolutely. When we talk about something as important as your retirement savings, you want to make sure you're dealing with a company you can truly trust, especially when precious metals are in the picture.
Exactly. So let's take a closer look.
Yeah, let's do
Gold
it.
Guys, they offer a wide variety of services, everything from buying and selling gold and jewelry to diamonds, watches, even coins.
Wow, the whole gamut.
It's pretty impressive. And for today's deep dive, we're using a really detailed review from Gold IRA Blueprint. Yeah, put together by a whole team of experts. We're going to be looking at customer reviews, their history, what makes them different in this crowded market.
Sounds good.
But before we get into all that, if you want a helpful checklist to choose the right Gold IRA company, head over to goldirablueprint.com/exclusive for a free download.
It's a great resource, can really save you a lot of time and hassle.
Now, the review, it emphasizes how dedicated Gold Guys is to fair prices and transparent transactions.
Right.
What are your thoughts on that?
Well, transparency, it's absolutely crucial in the precious metals world.
Hmm.
You really want to be sure you're getting a fair deal, that the company you're working with is upfront about their pricing, the whole process.
Right.
And it seems like Gold Guys is making a genuine effort to do just that.
For sure. For sure. And one thing that really stood out to me from the review was that Gold Guys actually has a physical location in the Mall of America.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
Yeah, it's not every day you see a gold dealer in such a public and accessible place.
Yeah, you know what that says to me? It speaks to their accessibility, their desire to really reach a wider audience.
Hmm.
It's like they're saying, "Hey, we're not some scary exclusive club, We're here for everybody."
Yeah, I like that. I like that. And speaking of being there for everybody, they offer such a wide range of services.
It's true.
Like buying diamonds and watches along with gold, that's pretty unique.
It is, and that kind of diversification, it can be a real advantage for investors, right?
Yeah.
Offers them different ways to safeguard their wealth.
Absolutely.
And it's important to remember that gold isn't the only thing that can hold its value, especially when things are, economically uncertain.
Right. That's a great point. So let's get into some of the key takeaways from this review.
Okay.
They've got a fast and easy selling process. They offer competitive prices, provide free appraisals, consultations, and they ensure that all transactions are secure.
Hmm.
That sounds pretty good to me.
It does, and those are all really important things to keep in mind when you're deciding which company you want to work with. It sounds like Gold Guys has really put a lot of thought into making the process as smooth as possible for their customers.
Yeah, absolutely. And here's another interesting thing from the review. Gold Guys is actually accredited by the Better Business Bureau and a bunch of other professional organizations.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
What do you think that tells us?
Well, accreditations like that, they show commitment, right, to ethical business practices and customer satisfaction.
Mhm.
It's a good sign that they're a company you can trust and that they're willing to be held accountable by, independent organizations.
Right, right. Okay, so far so good.
Yeah.
But we also got to address the potential downsides.
Yeah.
The review did mention some negative customer reviews, things like communication delays.
Yeah.
So how should we interpret those? What do you think?
It's really important to remember that no company's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
You're always going to find a few negative reviews online, no matter how great a company is.
Right.
The important thing is to look at the big picture.
Mm-hmm.
If most of the reviews are positive, a few negatives shouldn't necessarily scare you off.
Okay, so it's more about looking for patterns, like weighing the good against the bad.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And with Gold Guys, it seems like their overall customer satisfaction is really quite high, which is encouraging.
Yeah, it is. It is. And the review also mentioned that Gold Guys was founded by 3 business owners, Jason, Alex, and Ben,
Okay.
and they've built a solid reputation in the gold market.
It's always good to know the history, the people behind a company.
Right.
It gives you a better sense of their values, their mission.
Yeah, for sure. And you know what? I think this is a good time to remind our listeners that we have a fantastic resource for you.
Oh, yeah.
If you're feeling overwhelmed by the whole process of choosing a gold IRA company, head over to goldirablueprint.com/exclusive.
Mm-hmm.
There you'll find a free checklist that walks you through all the key things to consider. It can really simplify the whole thing.
Absolutely. A great tool for making an informed decision.
Okay, let's get back to Gold Guys. What are your thoughts on their emphasis on secure transactions? I mean, nobody wants to worry about their valuables disappearing, right?
Right. Security it's absolutely paramount when you're dealing with precious metals.
Mm-hmm.
And the review, it did mention that Gold Guys really prioritizes those secure and confidential transactions.
Right.
It didn't go into detail, but it's likely that they're using a combo of, physical security at their location,
Right.
secure ways to transport the valuables.
Makes sense. It's good to know they're taking those precautions. But speaking of reassurance, let's talk about pricing.
Okay.
Are they actually competitive?
Well, the review says that Gold Guys bases their prices on current market value.
Okay.
Of course, the exact price you get will depend on a bunch of factors, like how pure the gold is, the
Right.
condition of the jewelry, what the market's doing at that moment.
So it's not just like, weigh the gold and get a check, huh?
Not quite. There's an appraisal process. They figure out the fair market value of your stuff. But the main takeaway is that Gold Guys is trying to be competitive. And all the positive reviews, they seem to back that up.
That's good. That's good. So they're transparent with pricing, seem to offer fair deals.
Mm.
That's a good sign. But let's switch gears a bit. Talk about something we haven't touched on yet. Gold IRAs.
Okay.
Can you give our listeners a quick rundown? What is a gold IRA and why might they want one?
Sure. A gold IRA, or gold individual retirement account, it's basically a type of retirement account that lets you hold physical gold as an asset.
Okay.
It's a way to, diversify your portfolio and potentially hedge against inflation. See, traditional IRAs, they usually hold stocks and bonds. Those can be a bit volatile.
Right.
Gold tends to hold its value better, especially during economic uncertainty, which is why a lot of people like to include it in their retirement plans.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like a safety net in case the stock market takes a nosedive.
Exactly. And even though Gold Guys doesn't handle setting up gold IRAs directly, they can definitely help you with the buying and selling of the gold that you'd put in the account.
Right. So they can help you get the physical gold that you then transfer over to a custodian who specializes in managing those gold IRAs.
Exactly. And it's super important to choose both a reputable gold dealer like Gold Guys and a trustworthy custodian to make sure your investment is safe and well managed.
Absolutely.
And that's where a resource like Gold IRA Blueprint can really come in handy.
Yeah, for sure.
Their website, it's got tons of info on gold IRAs, like how to choose the right custodian, the different types of gold you can invest in.
It's a great place to start if you're new to this whole gold IRA thing. But let's get back to Gold Guys for a second.
Okay.
One thing I thought was really cool, their commitment to those free appraisals and consultations
Yeah.
takes the guesswork out of it, don't you think?
Absolutely. You can get a clear understanding of what your stuff is worth, no pressure to sell. That kind of transparency, it's key for building trust, especially in an industry that can sometimes feel a little, I don't know, shady.
Yeah, totally. It's like they're saying, we're confident in our prices and we want you to feel confident too.
Exactly.
But, while we're on the topic of pricing, I'm curious, they buy such a variety of things. Does that affect their pricing strategy at all?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I imagine it means they need to have a pretty broad range of expertise on their appraisal team.
Right.
Evaluating a diamond ring is way different than appraising a gold coin.
That's true. That's true. And it probably also means they've got a bigger network of buyers and sellers,
Yeah.
which could give them an edge in the market.
Yeah, potentially they might be able to offer better prices because they have more ways to sell the stuff they buy.
That makes sense. So diversification benefits their customers, but it also helps their business.
Exactly. Win-win, right?
Totally. Totally. Now, earlier, we talked about those negative reviews, mainly about communication delays.
Right.
While it's good to consider all feedback, how much weight do you actually give negative reviews when you're checking out a company?
Another good question.
Yeah.
I think you got to look at the overall picture. A couple negative reviews shouldn't freak you out.
Right.
Especially if most customers are happy.
Mm-hmm.
It's also helpful to think about, what are they actually complaining about?
Right.
Is it a real problem with the company? Or are they just, I don't know, being picky?
Yeah. Yeah, one person's bad experience doesn't necessarily reflect on the whole company.
Right, and the review, it didn't even say how bad these delays were.
Right. Were they just minor inconveniences, or did they really mess things up for the customer?
Exactly. Without knowing more, it's hard to say.
Okay, so context is key when you're looking at reviews.
For sure.
But let's move on to something that I think is a big concern for people dealing with precious metals, security. What are your thoughts on Gold Guys' security protocols?
Well, like we said, the review emphasized those secure transactions.
Right.
They didn't get into specifics, but they probably have ways to keep their locations safe and to
Mhm.
protect the valuables during transport.
I would imagine they've got cameras, alarms, maybe even guards at their location.
Probably. Especially given how much the stuff they handle is worth.
Yeah. And for transporting, I bet they use armored vehicles to secure shipping.
Most likely. And maybe they even insure the stuff they're moving, just in case.
Right. And they probably have strict rules for verifying who's buying and selling to avoid scams.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. They got to make sure they're dealing with the right people and that everything's documented properly.
So it sounds like they're taking security pretty seriously, even though the review didn't give us all the details.
Yeah, it seems that way, and that's definitely reassuring, especially in this industry.
For sure. For sure. Now, before we go on, I want to remind our listeners, if you're feeling overwhelmed by the whole Gold IRA world,
Yeah.
don't know where to start, head over to goldirablueprint.com/exclusive.
Mm.
They have a free checklist that walks you through everything you need to consider when choosing a Gold IRA company.
Great tool to help you make the right choice.
Right, now back to Gold Guys. One thing that really stands out to me, their accessibility.
Yeah,
That Mall of America location, like we talked about, it's pretty unique for a gold dealer.
it is.
Makes them feel more approachable, less intimidating, especially if you're new to buying or selling precious metals.
Totally. It's like they're trying to make the whole process less mysterious, more mainstream.
Right, like, hey, we're not some old-fashioned out-of-touch operation. We're modern, we get it.
Yeah, and that could really appeal to younger investors who are looking for alternative ways to protect their money.
You know, that's a really good point. It's like they're bridging the gap between traditional gold investing and the modern consumer experience.
Exactly. And from a business perspective, it's smart.
Hmm.
Being in a busy spot like the Mall of America, they're reaching a lot more potential customers.
It's like they're saying, you don't have to go out of your way to find us. We're already here.
Yeah, and that convenience factor, it can be huge, especially for busy people.
It's like they're removing the obstacles for people who might be interested in gold but don't know where to begin.
Exactly. And that's a smart move. It could bring in a whole new group of investors.
It's like they're democratizing access to precious metals.
I like that. It's like they're saying gold isn't just for the rich, it's for everyone.
In that message, it resonates with a lot of people, especially these days.
Definitely. People are looking for ways to protect their wealth, hedge against inflation, and gold has a pretty good track record for that.
Right. And Gold Guys seems to be making it easier than ever to add gold to your portfolio.
They are making it more convenient, that's for sure.
And that's a big deal in today's world.
It is.
You know, before we go any further, I want to remind our listeners about a resource that can help you navigate the whole Gold IRA process,
Oh,
if
yeah.
it all seems a bit overwhelming.
It can be.
Don't worry, you're not alone.
Not at all.
The folks over at Gold IRA Blueprint, they've put together this free checklist. It walks you through all the important things to consider when you're choosing a Gold IRA company.
Yeah. It's a fantastic tool. Helps you make a good decision, make sure your savings are in the right hands.
Exactly. It breaks down the questions you need to ask, the red flags to watch out for, the steps to protect your investment.
It's like having your own personal gold IRA guide.
So if you're ready to take charge of your retirement and explore the potential of gold IRAs,
Mm-hmm.
head over to goldirablueprint.com/exclusive. Download that free checklist today.
You won't regret it.
Okay, now let's dive back into Gold Guys.
Let's do it.
We've talked about their commitment to transparency, competitive pricing, strong security, their unique location.
Yeah.
But what about their customer service? The review didn't really go into that.
That's true. It mostly focused on the services, the pricing, their reputation.
Right.
But, based on all the positive reviews, I think it's safe to say their customer service is at least decent.
Yeah, you'd think a company that's all about transparency and customer satisfaction would have good customer service, right?
Exactly. It wouldn't really make sense if they didn't.
So even though we don't have the specifics,
Yeah.
we can assume they probably try to give their customers a good experience.
It's a reasonable assumption, and, potential customers can always just ask about it if they're worried.
That's a good point. Always a good idea to ask questions. Get a feel for their customer service before you do business with them.
Absolutely. And if they don't want to answer your questions or tell you about their policies,
Yeah.
that could be a red flag.
Right. Transparency should apply to everything, including customer service.
Agreed. Agreed. And speaking of transparency, let's talk a bit more about that appraisal process at Gold Guys.
Okay.
The review said they offer free appraisals, but how does it actually work?
Yeah. What can people expect when they bring their stuff in?
Well, I imagine it starts with just looking at the items.
Right.
The appraiser's going to check for any markings or stamps that show the purity or where it came from.
And they'll probably use a magnifying glass to see the details.
Oh, for sure. They need to see how good of condition the items are in, any damage or wear and tear.
And I bet they weigh this stuff too, right?
Definitely. Weight's super important for figuring out how much precious metal there is.
And once they've looked at everything and weighed it, they probably use special tools to test how pure the gold or other metals are.
Exactly. Things like an acid test or an electronic tester to see the carat of the gold, the fineness of the silver.
And then once they have all that info, they can give you a fair market value for your stuff.
Right. They look at the current prices for gold, silver, diamonds, all of that,
Right.
plus the condition and how rare your items are.
And it's important to remember, this appraisal, it's just an estimate. It doesn't mean you have to sell.
Exactly. You can get appraisals from a few different places, compare prices, and pick the best offer.
Always good to shop around, do your research.
Absolutely. And Gold Guys, they seem to encourage that by offering those free appraisals, no pressure to sell.
Another sign they're committed to transparency and keeping their customers happy.
Definitely. They're giving you the power to decide.
It's empowering.
It is. Takes the pressure off. You feel more in control.
Now, before we wrap up talking about appraisals, I want to bring up something that comes up a lot when people think about selling their precious metals.
Okay.
Sentimental value.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes the things we're selling, they have emotional meaning. It's hard to put a price on that.
That's true. It can be tough.
And it seems like Gold Guys understands that.
Yeah.
The review mentioned they treat everyone with respect and sensitivity, no matter what their stuff is worth.
That's good to hear.
It's important to work with a company that gets that these transactions can be emotional.
Absolutely. It's not just about the money. It's about helping people through a tough decision, making sure they feel good about it.
Right, and it sounds like Gold Guys wants to make that a positive experience for their customers.
It seems that way, and that's really important. It can make a big difference.
Okay, before we move on to other parts of Gold Guys' business, I want to remind our listeners about that resource we mentioned.
Yes.
It can help you figure out the whole gold IRA thing.
Definitely.
If you're thinking about adding gold to your retirement portfolio, the Gold IRA Blueprint website is a great place to start.
Tons of info on there, how to choose a custodian, the different types of gold you can invest in, what it means for your taxes.
And they have this awesome free checklist that walks you through all the important stuff to think about when you're picking a gold IRA company.
Yeah, it's like having a personal guide to help you make the right choice.
So if you're ready to take control of your retirement savings, explore what gold IRAs can offer. Go to goldirablueprint.com/exclusive. Download your free checklist today.
You won't regret it.
Okay, now back to our deep dive into Gold Guys. We've talked about their services, pricing, security, location, customer service, appraisals.
Whew, that's a lot.
It is.
But I'm curious to learn more about their history, the people behind the company.
Yeah, me too.
The review mentioned it was founded by 3 business owners, Jason, Alex, and Ben. Apparently, they have a good reputation in the gold market.
It's always interesting to know where a company came from, what the founders were thinking.
Absolutely. Gives you a peek into their values, how they do business.
So what can you tell us about these guys, Jason, Alex, and Ben?
Unfortunately, the review didn't say much about their background or how long they've been in the gold market.
Oh, that's too bad. It'd be cool to know how they got started. What made them start Gold Guys?
Yeah, it would.
Maybe their website or something has more info about their story.
Could be. Always worth doing a little digging to find out more about the people you're doing business with.
Yeah, helps you make a better decision.
Definitely.
And while we're on the topic of research, I want to emphasize how important it is to do your due diligence when choosing any company to handle your precious metals or retirement savings.
Oh, absolutely. Crucial.
Don't just rely on one source of information,
Right.
Read reviews from different places, check their ratings with the Better Business Bureau, other consumer groups. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Make sure you understand everything.
And if something feels off, too good to be true.
Yeah,
Probably is.
exactly. Trust your gut and don't let anyone pressure you into making a decision before you're ready.
It's your money, your retirement, worth taking the time to make the right choice.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Speaking of making informed decisions, let's remind our listeners about that resource we mentioned.
Yes, good idea.
It can help you with the whole gold IRA thing.
If you're feeling a little lost about choosing a gold IRA company,
Yeah.
you're not alone. A lot of people feel that way.
The team at Gold IRA Blueprint put together this awesome free checklist, walks you through everything you need to know.
Breaks down the key questions, the warning signs, the steps to take to protect your investment.
It's like having your own Gold IRA expert right there with you.
Exactly.
So if you're ready to take control of your retirement and see what Gold IRAs are all about, head over to goldirablueprint.com/exclusive. Get that free checklist today.
You won't regret it.
Now let's get back to Gold Guys.
Okay.
We've talked about a lot, but one thing we haven't really touched on is their marketing, their branding.
Oh, interesting.
What do you think about their approach?
I've noticed they have this very modern, approachable image.
Yeah.
Their website's sleek, easy to use, and they're good on social media, engaging, informative.
Right, and that Mall of America location, it adds to that whole accessible, modern vibe.
Definitely. It's not your typical image of a gold dealer.
Yeah, and I think that's smart. The investment world's changing. Younger generations want companies that fit their values, their lifestyle.
They want transparency, convenience, a smooth experience.
And Gold Guys seems to be doing all of that.
They are putting themselves out there as a modern, forward-thinking company.
And that could be a real advantage for them.
Oh, definitely. It's competitive out there. You got to stand out.
Speaking of competition, how do you think Gold Guys compares to other companies in the precious metals world?
The review said they have good prices, but it didn't really compare them to anyone else.
Right. Would be good to know how their prices stack up against the average,
Yeah.
if they offer anything special that makes them different.
Maybe their website or their marketing stuff has more details about their pricing.
Yeah, good point. Always good to compare prices before you make a decision.
Absolutely. And don't be afraid to ask questions. Negotiate to get the best deal.
It's your money. You deserve the best price.
Exactly. And
Okay.
speaking of getting the best deal, let's remind our listeners about that resource that can help them save money, avoid mistakes when they're investing in gold.
Yes, great idea.
If you're thinking about adding gold to your retirement, the Gold IRA Blueprint website is fantastic. Tons of info on gold IRAs.
How to choose a custodian, the different types of gold you can invest in, what it means for your taxes.
And they have that free checklist.
Yeah, the one that walks you through the important things to consider when you're choosing a Gold IRA company.
Packed with tips and insights that can save you money and headaches.
So if you're ready to take charge of your retirement savings and explore the potential of Gold IRAs, head over to goldirablueprint.com/exclusive. Download that free checklist.
You won't regret it.
Okay, let's get back to Gold Guys.
Back to gold, guys.
We've covered a lot, but there's one thing I want to dig into a little deeper.
Okay.
Their commitment to social responsibility.
Oh, interesting. The review didn't really say anything about that.
It didn't. But a lot of companies in this industry are starting to realize how important ethical sourcing and sustainability are.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, there have been issues in the past with gold mining, human rights abuses, damage to the environment.
Right, and people are becoming more aware of where their gold comes from, how it's produced.
So it'd be good to know if Gold Guys has any policies to make sure the gold they buy and sell is ethically sourced.
Maybe their website or marketing materials have some info about their sourcing practices, their commitment to social and environmental responsibility.
Yeah, that's a good point. Something potential customers can ask about if it's important to them.
For sure. And if a company is open about their sourcing and their commitment to doing things the right way, that's a good sign.
It shows they care about more than just making money,
Right.
that they want to do business ethically and sustainably.
Exactly. And I think more and more people are looking for companies like that.
Yeah, people want to feel good about where their money's going, know that their purchases aren't hurting anyone or the planet.
And that's a trend that's only going to get bigger.
So it would be smart for companies like Gold Guys to get ahead of this, show that they're committed to social responsibility.
Agreed. It's good for their image. It's good for business.
And it's good for the world.
It's a win-win-win.
You know, before we move on to our final thoughts on Gold Guys, let's remind our listeners about that resource we've been talking about.
Oh, yes, that free checklist.
Can help you navigate the whole Gold IRA process.
If you're feeling overwhelmed about choosing a gold IRA company,
Yeah.
don't worry. Gold IRA Blueprint has got you covered.
They've put together this great checklist that walks you through everything you need to know.
It breaks down all the important questions, the red flags, the steps to protect your savings.
So if you're ready to take control of your retirement and explore the world of Gold IRAs, head over to goldirablueprint.com/exclusive. Download that free checklist today.
You won't regret it.
Now let's get back to Gold Guys.
Okay.
We've talked about a lot of different aspects of their business, but there's one area I wanted to explore a little further.
What's that?
their commitment to, well, social responsibility.
Ah, yes, we didn't really touch on that in the review.
We didn't, but it's something that's becoming increasingly important, especially in the precious metals industry.
Right. People are starting to care more about where their gold comes from, how it was mined.
Yep.
There have been concerns about human rights issues, environmental damage, all that.
Yeah, and consumers are getting more and more aware of these things.
They want to make sure their purchases are ethical, sustainable.
So it'd be good to know if Gold Guys has any policies in place, to ensure the gold they're handling is ethically sourced.
It would. Maybe their website has some info about that or their marketing materials.
Right, or people could just ask them directly.
Yeah, good point.
If a company's willing to be transparent about those things, it's a good sign.
Absolutely. Shows they're not just focused on profits. They care about doing things the right way.
Right, and that's something I think a lot of people are looking for these days.
Definitely. It's a win-win for everyone. The company, the customers, the planet.
Before we wrap up our discussion on Gold Guys, let's remind our listeners about that helpful resource we've been talking about.
Oh, yes, the Gold IRA Blueprint Checklist.
If you're feeling a bit lost about choosing a Gold IRA company,
Don't worry, you're not alone.
Gold IRA Blueprint has created this fantastic free checklist.
Walks you through all the essential factors to consider.
Breaks down the important questions, the red flags to watch out for, the steps to protect your investment.
It's a great tool for anyone who wants to make a smart decision about their retirement savings.
So if you're ready to take control of your future and see what Gold IRAs are all about, go to goldirablueprint.com/exclusive. Download that free checklist today.
You won't regret it.
Okay, so we've talked a lot about Gold Guys today.
We have covered a lot of ground.
Their services, their reputation, that commitment to transparency, their security measures, even the reasons why people buy and sell precious metals.
And of course, we emphasized how important it is to do your research, choose a company you can trust.
Right, don't forget about that checklist. If you're feeling overwhelmed by all the info out there, it can really help you break things down, make a good decision.
Absolutely. Great tool for anyone who wants to make an informed choice about their retirement savings.
Head over to goldirablueprint.com/exclusive. Download it today. It's completely free.
Can't beat that.
All right, so it seems like Gold Guys is a pretty solid option for anyone looking to buy or sell precious metals.
Yeah, they seem to be doing a lot of things right.
They're transparent. They offer a variety of services, and that Mall of America location, it really sets them apart.
It does, makes them more accessible, less intimidating.
But, as always, the final decision is up to you.
Of course.
Do your homework, weigh the pros and cons, choose what feels right for you.
Well said.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time.
So, we've talked about social responsibility and all. And, let's think about the reasons people buy and sell this stuff in the first place.
Yeah.
It's not always just about, money, is it?
You're right. Sometimes it's about protecting what you have or dealing with inflation, but sometimes it's way more personal than that. So what are some of the, non-financial reasons people might want to sell their precious metals?
Well, inheritance is a big one. Maybe someone gets a piece of jewelry that they just don't like, or it reminds them of something bad.
Right.
Selling it can be a way to kind of let go of the past.
Yeah, that makes sense. And sometimes people they need the money, right? Unexpected bills, things change.
Exactly. It could be a medical thing, job loss, even a divorce. Selling precious metals, it's a quick way to get cash when you really need it.
Like a safety net.
Exactly. And then some people, they just don't need the stuff anymore.
Right, like if they get new jewelry or their tastes change.
Yeah, or maybe they've moved to a smaller place and don't have room for everything.
It's kind of cool to think about, the stories these pieces have, where they've been before they end up with someone.
It is, and it shows why it's important to work with a company that gets that. Like Gold Guys, they treat people with respect no matter why they're selling.
It's not just a business deal. It's about people.
Exactly, and I think that's something that makes Gold Guys stand out. They seem to really care about their customers. They want to make the whole process easy, take the stress out of it.
And that's huge when you're dealing with something this personal, this potentially emotional.
It is. It's about trust.
Okay, so we've talked about a lot today.
We have Gold Guys services, their reputation, how transparent they are, security, even why people buy and sell precious metals in the first place.
Right, and we talked about how important it is to do your research, choose a company that's trustworthy.
Yeah, always good to be informed.
Speaking of which, don't forget about our free checklist. If you're feeling lost about this whole Gold IRA thing, it can really help you figure things out.
Absolutely.
Head over to goldirablueprint.com goldguys.com/exclusive. Download it today. It's free.
Great resource.
So overall, it sounds like Gold Guys is a good option for anyone looking to buy or sell precious metals.
Yeah, they seem to be doing things the right way.
They're transparent, they offer a wide range of services, and that Mall of America location is really unique.
It is. Makes them stand out.
But as always,